Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors together this Tuesday, January the 18th. At this time, we'll have a roll call.
Director Roberts,
Here.
Director Harris,
Here.
Assistant Mayor Hollibush,
Here.
Director Brewer,
Here.
Director Minor,
Here.
Director Hart,
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here. At this time, we'll stand for our invocation and a pledge given by Director Brewer.
Everyone bow your head, close your eyes, please. Lord, we are humbly gathered here tonight on behalf of the citizens of Texarkana, Arkansas, Miller County. We ask for your guidance and direction. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Oh, good grief.
Had that all worked out. Got a little bit shy.
I just right over that and even had it highlighted, and my sincere apologies. I have never, that is a terrible, I feel terrible.
You want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it again. Let's do it again. I'm not going to say, I'm so sorry.
At this time, we'll have pledge of allegiance by the Animal Care and Adoption Center Director, Leonard Teague.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
Well
Ms. Teague.
done,
Feel a little
thank
bit.
you.
We're a patriot.
Thank you, Ms. Teague.
Yeah, thank you, Ms.
You
Teagan.
can't ever do that.
I apologize to you again. At this time, we'll move into our citizens' communication time. I have one person that's asked to address the board at this time, Prissy Hickerson.
Well, thank you, Mayor. My name is Prissy Hickerson, and I live at 2805 Forest Avenue, Texarkana, Arkansas. And I appreciate the opportunity to address you, Mayor and council members and City Manager Ellington. Actually, I had a long visit on the phone with Lenore today, and I had a lot of my questions answered, and very courteously and professionally, and I appreciate that. But one thing, I do a lot of animal advocacy, mainly social media now. At one point in time, for many years, I served as a director of the Texarkana Animal League, and we at one time ran the animal shelter for the city. So I don't know, I've just kind of kept up with a lot of contacts, and I get a lot of questions and a lot of people calling me about the shelter. And I think one of the things that I would like to talk about is I would like to, or request at some point, maybe next meeting, if not this one, is for an update, number one, on the new facility and where it is. And I understand that there have been some issues there with getting the kennels in, and I understand all that, but I think it would go a long way because there are a lot of people questioning, why is that not open? It's been a long time. There was money given, donated, what's going on there. So I think the public needs to know. The other thing is it's been closed an awful lot, and these are strange times, and I understand that. And COVID has put its mighty hand on that animal shelter twice now, and I understand they had to close for a couple of weeks for deep cleaning back in the fall, and I understand that. But when you go by there to make a donation and it's not open, you go back by there and it's not open, you don't know why, you call and you get voicemail is full. You push the number 1 prompt, the number 2 prompt, the 0 prompt. The voicemail is full. Someone's going down there every day to take care of those animals. Surely you ought to be able to leave a voicemail. And this is what I'm hearing. People are just wondering what's going on. And I know that there's a Facebook page. Every time I try to access the Facebook page, I get the previous Facebook page. that I understand was not available to be turned over to the new director, so it's still out there. Terry, you put a post on there about the opening that Saturday, but when you go to the link at the bottom of your post, it pulls up the previous. And I don't know how that can be fixed or who needs to fix that, but that needs to be more accessible, because I know Lenore's that they've been posting a lot of updates on there. I don't get it, so I don't receive it anymore, and I used to. People are complaining about that because that was a way that they pushed and adopted animals and shared and things like that. So I just think it needs a little bit more attention, maybe by the city or whoever. I think Lenore's doing a great job for all of the horrible constraints that have been hoisted upon her and all city government and everything that's going on. But I just think if we could have a little bit more, maybe some additional press, maybe the Texarkana Gazette. I still get the Texarkana Gazette. I read it every morning, first thing at 5:30, from cover to cover.
You're that bored?
I am that bored. I even read it when we're on vacation. It's the first thing I do. And I read the Arkansas Democrat Gazette too. But I'm old, so that's what old people do. I don't rely totally on social media. But I just think a little bit more of the push on social media, and also for things that are going on down there. And maybe, there may not be anything wrong with that Facebook page, but it's not just me. I hear it from other people. What happened to the Facebook page? We can't get in it anymore. So that's all. So maybe some of these things can be looked into, and there, things, when you don't have information, things rumble around out there. And people get suspicious about what's going on. And animal people are passionate people, and they might get a little bit carried away, and I just want to sort of avoid that. I think that our city's fortunate to have an animal shelter, and I would like to make it the best one it can be. And bottom line, for the animals that are there, we want to do everything we can to try to get them adopted out. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board tonight? Yes.
Kind of a continuation on what she had said. My name is Selena Ford. I didn't come professionally prepared tonight because I was called upon by a former associate regarding the animal issue. One thing that we're experiencing, I foster animals for passion for pooches, or basically anyone that calls me. And Dawn Smith is generally who I work with on that, and she says that with previous management with the animal shelter, they would call her consistently saying they had animals that she could foster and help adopt out and help with their care and association with more socialization and things. She's set up to do that. She's got multi-acreages, buildings and things, and this previous management is not even contacting her at all. So needlessly, animals are being euthanized or just sitting at the shelter that could really use our help. When she contacted regarding, or when other people have contacted regarding the animals, they're being told it's nobody's business on there to socialize with them, to work with them. Due to the animal shelter being closed consistently, lots of animals are being needlessly dumped, and hopefully we find them in time. So we were wondering about animal control. I realize we have a representative here today. When we contact the police department and they say that they'll contact animal control, that's not actually happening. There were 3 puppies that were abandoned over at Jefferson Park right over New Year's, and they said that they would phone animal control. However, animal control never came for the puppies. And so citizens got together and put together some straw and some housing for the animals. And then, I don't know, someone may have taken them and rehomed them. We don't know. But basically, it's actually straining our resources as fosters, because we get calls for, 5, 10, 15 animals a week. And I can't take all of them. I've already got 4 of my own. So we're wondering who's responsible for answering the phones and answering after hours calls, and why the police department is not routing those to the animals that are in need. There are animals that are hit. There are animals that are starving or in poor condition. I got an animal probably about 3 months ago now that had an arm dangling because its leg was snapped, and it was walking around up by the courthouse. So I took it because we were unable to get a hold of animal control to come help it. And so it's actually been through surgery, and it's being nursed back to health, and it's doing well. But if animal control isn't able to come out and get them, it's really taxing on our resources. We just need to be able to have some community involvement. Also, like on the community involvement, having events to draw attention to the fact that fixed TXK can help with the total cost of spaying or neutering an animal, which is really helpful in the community. I didn't know about it until I found out just by fostering. And so to be able to involve the community and get the word out, I think would be really helpful. So as Prissy was saying, just more transparency on what's happening, and being able to get rescue for the animals that we need animal control to respond to. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
what was the name of the organization she was talking about the spaying and neutering?
What was the name of your
Fix TXK.
Fix TXK?
Don Holton Smith works with them, and basically they cover the cost of spay and neuter. And there are so many puppies that are dumped, puppies, mamas, animals just dumped everywhere on the rural roads. And unfortunately, most of them get hit or starve to death. So we'd like to really get the word out on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board tonight? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Council, for letting me be here. My name is Dr. James Raker. I'm with a local healthcare facility, Arklatex Health Center on 1414 Arkansas Boulevard. As a business owner and taxpayer, I've made some attempts to contact city officials to find out about who to talk to about saving the city on healthcare costs. The current healthcare system is designed to be expensive. It just is. There's a lot of ways to save money. My partner at the clinic, Dr. Darren Ashbrooks, was actually the physician in charge of setting up the Domtar employee clinic. This is where Domtar had 700 employees and their families, so about 1,400 people covered. At the Domtar clinic, employees and their families could go and get free visits and free medication. Even though it was free, it was structured in a way that they saved $250,000 in medication costs the first year and $1 million in overall costs. And there was things that were not implemented at that time at that clinic that are new that could be implemented now that could probably almost double that number. So really all I'm asking for is for someone in the city, if the city is interested in saving money financially for healthcare, and that means routine healthcare, work comp, and what we call occupational medicine, which is doing like physicals, drug tests, different things that aren't covered under sickness for work comp or regular insurance, that if they would just call me and talk to me, I could tell them where the holes are in the system that could be very easily plugged and saved with efficiency, much of what was used at Domtar and even some things that were not. The state of Arkansas passed a law in 2017 that the state would pay for stem cell injections for torn rotator cuff injuries and knee injuries to keep people from having to get knee replacement surgery or shoulder surgery. As an example, in savings, the state knew that knee replacement cost about $60,000, and you would be out of work for 6 weeks going through rehab at a minimum. And with an artificial knee, there are some workers that cannot return to their normal job duties because of the limitations that that knee put on them physically, which means they might have had to have early retirement, losing not the seniority, but the experience of that worker, a good worker, having to retire early. The state realized that they could get a stem cell injection for maybe $4,000. That would offset $56,000 per knee surgery, per knee replacement surgery, not have any downtime because it's one shot and you go back to work the next day, not lose a good employee. Same thing with shoulder injuries, about $30,000 versus $4,000. So there's many, many things in healthcare that have changed and that should be and could be done differently to make it more cost efficient, but the system's not going to change. If y'all don't push for change, you're going to get, from a doctor and hospital standpoint, they do whatever they can do to make money, not to make money, but it's the system's set up for doing things the old way, not the new way. And there's just a tremendous amount of healthcare savings that can be done. So really all I'm asking for is for someone to contact me and discuss possible ways of saving money. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I jumped up and kind of got excited and didn't fill out the paperwork, but the two ladies that were speaking about animal issues in the city, for 2 years now, I have become a cat farmer. We have 22 cats, stray cats, in our neighborhood, and we have called animal control 4 different times, and each time they told us they'll bring cages out there. Never show up. So I am out of pocket a lot of money buying food for 22 cats, wormer, stuff like that, to keep disease and stuff down. So I just, I know they already got up and, got the fact out, but I just wanted to add to it that it's a serious issue. And not only that, the wild bulldogs or aggressive dogs that get out of their cages in our neighborhood has become a problem. My 80-year-old, almost 80-year-old grandmother was almost attacked by one in the backyard. So animal control never shows up to do anything about it. So, anyways.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Yes.
I'm not the best at speeches, but I'm going to give it a good shot here. I'm Amy Wortley, board member of the Texarkana Animal Coalition team. I'm here tonight to express my concerns regarding the city animal shelter and the various animal issues within the city. It's becoming more and more apparent that the city of Texarkana is facing a major animal overpopulation issue. Animal abandonment, abuse, and cruelty are all too typical of a day for each of us. We currently do not have the assistance from local law enforcement, the animal shelter, animal control, and we are lacking the resources to continue. When we ask for help from the law enforcement or from the shelter, we are turned away to figure it out on our own, or no one answers our calls for help. This leaves us scrambling for community donations for vet care, medicine, transportation, food, shelter, and various other supplies. Simply put, the rescuers and the citizens of the community feel as though they are tackling this widespread issue all alone. When we've been able to connect with the shelter, we're told that they are at capacity, and our asks for help seem to be a nuisance. It is also near impossible for some to come up with $150 to surrender an animal to the shelter that someone else has abandoned on the streets, which is most likely being done due to the high surrender fee at the shelter. The high adoption fees also ensure that the animals within the shelter will likely never leave their cinder block cage. We're also very concerned with the shelter not being open more often than it is, why the new facility is not open, the lack of transparency with the community, where the $1 million donation went, and what repairs have been made to the existing shelter, why they aren't utilizing volunteers, the lack of social media presence, why animals are not being spayed and neutered prior to adoption, and why there's no penalty to the adopter for not ensuring that this is done after the adoption. And last but certainly not least, the extremely high rate of euthanization. Law enforcement and animal control should be cracking down on the nonstop abandonment issues, cruelty, and neglect cases, and setting the tone for our community that we have zero tolerance for this behavior. Frankly, this is not a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job and should not be treated as such. Ultimately, the goal for the city and the community should be working towards a no-kill shelter, but the lack of effort and concern will certainly not get us there. Our local rescuers and citizens have opened their doors and pockets to assist these animals in their dire need, and we are only asking that the animal shelter, law enforcement, and the city does the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. Never done this before either, really. My name is Mandy. I'm with Ray of Hope Animal Refuge. I'm also a board member of Texarkana Animal Coalition Team. Texarkana, kind of like what everybody else said, they have a problem with overpopulation of dogs and cats right now, and this issue is caused by the lack of spay and neuter laws and education in the community. The lack of enforcement of any related laws that we have now also. With these areas lacking, our towns nearly become like a wasteland for animals being dumped and neglected daily, and that makes us shelters and rescues overcrowd and suffer too. We're spread pretty thin. There's also a huge gap of communication with the resources available to the public, such as animal control not answering the phone, or one of our most powerful tools not being utilized, which is social media. I believe I've heard that the Facebook page has not been active or updated in a while. The other major thing is the shelter being closed. It's it's been such a negative impact on our community as well, because dumped animals have nowhere to go. Along those lines, it's not been made clear what the $1 million donation was used for to benefit this cause. We feel like we're in the dark pretty much. We have an incredible many groups of rescuers in this area. They help daily with many cases of hurt or outplaced animals that come up. I would like to know why the city hasn't collaborated with them, especially when euthanasia records from the shelter are insanely high, with the many animals being put down due to overcrowding alone. Well, the city pretty much has a literal army of rescuers to utilize, and there's no collaboration whatsoever being done that I can tell, very little at the very least. I've taken in many babies alone, and I know every rescuer is going to tell you the same. We're overcrowded, we're using donations, but at that point it becomes too much, and I've had to use my own money to help with that. In short, we need a status on the shelter, where we're at there and when we can get going again. We need communication between city officials, community, and rescues to come up with a system where we can get spay and neuters in place. We need some kind of laws going. This is getting pretty nuts. I'm myself and other rescuers are interested in continuing speaking about this at any point and are available for communication. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Wait, what's the name of your organization again?
Oh, who's speaking? Yes, Mandy Abernathy, and I'm with Ray of Hope Animal Refuge.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Okay, seeing none?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I was trying
Okay.
to represent from Noise, and I'm gonna read a press release. For immediate release, January the 18th, 2022. City Director Harris appointment to serve on the National League of City Human Development Committee, Washington, D.C., January the 18th, 2022. City Director Lena Harris of Texarkana, Arkansas, has been appointed to the National League of City NLC 2022 Human Development HD Fellow Advocate Committee. City Director Harris was elected to a one-year term and will provide strategy, direction, and guidance for NLC Fellow Advocate agenda and policy priority. The appointment was announced by NLC President Mayor Vince Williams of Union City, Georgia. I am very excited to be part of a collective approach for issues and concerns throughout this nation, said Harris. As a member of NLC HD Committee, City Director Harris will play a key role among diverse local groups and local leaders in shaping NLC policy position and advocate on behalf of American municipalities before Congress and with administration and at home. NLC Fellow African Committee key tool for gathering insight and direction from community that our members serve, said NLC President Vince Williams of Union City, Georgia. I am excited to have Director Harris to serve on Human Development Committee and looking forward to working with him to fulfill the promise of American city, towns, and village. The full leadership of this committee will consist of Chair Kansi Konitz, Councilmember Tamika Park, Maryland, Vice Chair Denise D. Allen, Mayor Pro Temple, Western City, North Carolina, and Vice Chair Andrew Garcia, Councilmember San Antonio, Texas. For more information on NLC Federal Advocate Committee, visit NLC or Advocate Committee. That's it. Oh, and then I guess I got two more. Oh, and yesterday that we celebrated the life and the works of Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm gonna read just I'm just doing it, but he made a lot of quotes, and one of the most quote that he does, and I just try to stand by and live by most of what I'm saying all the time, is the measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of convenience and comfort, is where he stands in time of challenge and controversy, Dr. Martin Luther King. And that's pretty well one of his known quotes there. And my last statement is that I have been asked about NLC policy board. It's a national board thing, and right now there's been a hindrance for me to apply based on how I travel thing is structured, because what's the point of applying for one of those committees, and you can't be able to make the meeting. They're gonna have at least 2 or 3 meetings a year, and the only person out of the state of Arkansas was the mayor of Lake Village back in 2014 from the state of Arkansas. For even just to being asked to put in and try to be on that committee, I think that says a lot. But no, and I thank NLC for asking me to even put in the application as trying to be on them, but I didn't do it this year because based on how travel thing is set up, because like I said, it ain't enough money to pay the registration fee, as how it's set up right now. So if it's looked at, I'm doing our next budget cycle view, and I told them I think about it, but it was an honor just to ask for me to being considered as an application, trying to be on that national policy board of the NLC. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? If not, we'll move into our consent agenda. The item number 1 is approval of the minutes of the rescheduled regular meeting on January the 4th. Adopt the resolution amending the fiscal year 2022 general fund budget to include the reallocation of a FY 2021 general fund funding for the I-30 median lights electrical replacement. And item number 3 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the depository board to execute the 2022 depository agreement with Commercial National Bank. What would be the board's desire on the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda passes. Moving on into our regular agenda, we have one item on the agenda tonight. Number 4 is to adopt an ordinance for the purchase of new breathing air compressing system. Chief Fletcher.
So good evening, Mayor, Directors, Mr. Ellington. The items we are requesting to purchase is a breathing air compressor system. This system is used to fill our breathing air cylinders that we use on fires. It's basically, as you can tell, it's a large compressor, a reservoir, tanks, and a fill station. This breathing air is just regular air. It's not like O2, but it does run through quite a few filters to make sure everything's filtered out that needs to be. The present system we have was purchased in 2006. It's requiring increased maintenance, and it's not compatible with the new generation of SCBA's we'll be switching to in the near future. I say the near future, it may be next year, maybe the year after, but it will be soon. And that is all I had. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Chief Fletcher?
Is there an emergency clause?
Ma'am?
Availability,
It's
I mean,
budgeted.
can you get
It's
it?
budgeted.
Budgeted.
Yes. Can you get this equipment? I mean,
That is one thing I had, George and I talked about an emergency clause, but there was no sense in it because if you order it now, we're probably looking at 6-7 months out, you know. I mean, but we're not in the shape to where we're going without right now, so we'll be fine until then.
But this was already approved in the budget up to 50
Right.
anyway. And this is in your 2022 budget, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was.
Yes.
What
Director
does it
Harris.
What's that?
What does it do?
Fills
How
our
is
air.
it utilized? What air are you filtering in now? How is you utilizing it?
Oh, well, it goes in, are you familiar with the air packs that they wear on their backs?
Uh-huh.
Those cylinders that they use, this is used to fill the air up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's, you can't just use a regular compressor. It has to be filtered, beat off the fan.
Okay.
Any other questions for Chief Fletcher or anyone have any comments?
No comments.
So I'll remind the board, this is an ordinance to pass tonight. It will need to be read 3 times. What would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the acquisition of a breathing air compressor system, waiving any applicable competitive bidding provision and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading in abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading in abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the acquisition of a breathing air compressor system, waiving any applicable competitive bidding provision and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading? Third reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
A motion and a second to have it read on its third and final reading. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the acquisition of a breathing air compressor system, waiving any applicable competitive bidding provision and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its third and final reading tonight. What would be the desire of the board to adopt? Motion to adopt. Second. Motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt this ordinance tonight, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing and seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, and the ordinance passes. So moving right into board commentary, is there any board member that wish to address the board during board commentary? If not, we'll move right on into our city manager's report.
Mr. Mayor, Board of Directors, a couple of things. First, in your calendar, we will note that I believe the joint meeting that's on there is postponed by the chamber as well, so.
Yes, that's correct.
As well as their other two meetings currently that were this time of year. So we do have the two comprehensive plan steering committee and then again, the meeting with the planning commission. So if you can make both of those, I'd appreciate it. Or, if not, we will cover the majority of information for you on the first, and then we will cover some of that same information again on the second. This is to kick off our comprehensive plan study group and get rolling. I'm working on a naming policy that would deal with facilities and streets, et cetera, that will come to you at some point in time in an ordinance form. So that's one of the work pieces that I'm working on for you. I was able to attend the Martin Luther King Day Parade yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that I thank the people in our community who stepped forward and put that on for us as well, too, and a nice event. I will be coordinating, the mayor and I'll be coordinating together an additional meeting to work on our jail and JDC discussions and working toward an interlocal agreement with the county. So we're working through that process. We've got additional information we'll be sharing in our group and trying to come forward with some recommendations. We are continuing to work on trying to update our water situation, and we're going to have some secondary meetings in relationship to water. And then at some point in time in the future, again, you'll see us bringing forward to you an action that kind of solidifies our agreement in relationship to water for our joint communities. So those are all I have for you this evening.
Jay, I have a question. The A&P Commission, did that meeting get rescheduled or?
The A&P Commission, just Rhonda and I just discussed that before I walked into the meeting tonight. So we will be postponing the A&P Commission meeting tomorrow. So y'all will know that. We are down to 2 staff members in our finance department and don't really have the staffing to support that right now. So it's not a critical meeting for the A&P Commission, but we'll just move their agenda on further down in the calendar.
All right, thanks for the update, Jay.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Does anybody know of anything else that needs to come before the board? If not, we'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Could you call the roll?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and we're adjourned.
Ta-da.